The NA1 Honda NSX Type R and NA2 Honda NSX-R are track-focused performance variants of the Honda NSX. Both were produced exclusively for the Japanese market during two separate production runs, from 1992 to 1995 for the NA1 generation, and 2002 to 2005 for the NA2 generation, totaling 6 years of production with only 623 units being built across both generations.
The R stood for Racing or Racing Spec. This spec was optimized for the racetrack with its lighter weight and a chassis that was 50% stiffer to go along with refined aerodynamics. The weight savings came from moving things like the sound deadening, air conditioning, radio, traction control, the spare tire, a thinner rear window, as well as lightweight N-key wheels. Using these new wheels reduced unsprung weight and a better stickier tire compound made by Yokohama in a 2-year joint collaboration helped improve handling. And the finishing touch, the comfy leather seats were replaced with carbon Kevlar Recaro Racing bucket seats with red Alcantara upholstery and a Momo Racing steering wheel along with the titanium shift knob based off the Honda F1 cars of the era. The NSX engine was transversely mounted to keep the wheelbase short, while the highest points of the engine like the valve covers and intake components were magnesium, which helped lower the center of gravity. The Type R and NSX-R also had aerodynamic enhancements like its rear wing and front lip spoiler to provide downforce and stability at high speeds. Obviously, with Honda's focus with the R badge being on the track, the suspension was also tweaked, adding larger sway bars, stiffer springs, and performance shocks. Honda also placed a bigger sway bar further forward. Doing this shifted the car's balance further forward versus the base NSX. This modification resulted in more rear grip with some loss of grip to the front. Doing this modification helped decrease the oversteer tendency of the NSX. The NSX utilized a limited slip differential, which helps with cornering by balancing power distribution to the inner and outer wheels. Limited slip differentials are better at distributing torque between drive wheels more effectively, which reduces wheel spin and can enhance traction along with stability, which gives its drivers confidence and easier control through the corners. The NSX also utilized double wishbone front and rear suspension constructed of aluminum, which reduced unsprung weight. The ride height was also changed, with the Type R's front being 4.3 inches or 10 centimeters and the rear being 4.7 inches or 11 centimeters, versus the standard NSX front being 4.7 inches or 11 centimeters and the rear being 4.9 inches or 12 centimeters. Let's go a bit more in-depth for both generations of the Gen 1 Honda NSX Type R and NSX-R, since there are some slight variations between the two. First, we'll cover the Gen 1 or NA1, which ranged from 1992 to 1995 and had a total of 483 units made. This generation featured a dual overhead cam 24-valve naturally aspirated 3-liter 90-degree V6 with VTEC that made 276 horsepower and 210 pound-feet of torque, or 284 newton-meters at 7,300 RPM, and can rev up to 8,000 RPM made into a 5-speed manual transmission. As mentioned earlier, the Honda NSX Type R is lighter than the standard NSX, with its weight coming in at around 2,712 pounds or 1,230 kilograms, making it 265 pounds lighter or 120 kilograms lighter. The NSX Type R was able to accelerate to 60 miles an hour or 96 kilometers an hour in 4.9 seconds, giving it a top speed of 163 miles an hour or 262 kilometers per hour. The 1992 to 1993 NSX Type Rs typically ran 205/50 R15s for the front and 225/50 R16s for the rear, with 5-spoke 5-lug aluminum alloy N-key wheels. The 1994 to 1995 NSX Type Rs typically ran 215/45 R16s for the front and 245/40 R17s for the rear, with 7-spoke 5-lug aluminum alloy N-key wheels. Similar to an open-wheeled race car, the front wheels were smaller up front and larger in the rear. Doing this helped reduce the wheel well intrusions and lower the nose profile. The Type R's front brake rotors were 13 inches or 33 centimeters with 2 piston floating calipers, with the rear brake rotors being 11.8 inches or 30 centimeters with a single piston floating caliper, with ventilated discs with the material used for the rotors being cast iron. Now onto the NSX-R NA2 generation, which ranged from 2002 to 2005 and had 140 units made. This generation featured a massive change to the NSX as a whole with removal of its pop-up headlights, as well as this engine. The NA2 generation still featured a dual overhead cam 24-valve naturally aspirated 90-degree V6 with VTEC, but went from 3 liters to 3.2 liters. That made 290 horsepower at 7,300 RPM and 224 pound-feet of torque, or 303 newton meters at 5,300 RPM, and can rev up to 8,000 RPM. The NSX-R could reach 60 miles an hour or 96 kilometers an hour in 4.7 seconds and tops out at 174 miles an hour or 280 kilometers per hour. The NSX-R had some of its own changes with its aerodynamics. The NSX-R featured a new design rear wing over the NA1 Type R and utilizes a 6-speed manual transmission instead of the NA1 generation's 5-speed. In terms of wheel dimensions, the NSX-R normally featured 17-inch 7-spoke 5-lug alloys and ran two 1540R17s for the front and ran two 5540R17s for the rear. In terms of brakes, the NSX-R still utilized the same brake caliper design as the NA1, but the rotor dimensions are slightly different. The NSX-R ran 12-inch or 30cm front and rear brake rotors with slotted and ventilated discs, with the material being cast iron as well. Weight saving was obviously still prioritized, however. The NSX-R did weigh a little more than the Type R, with its weight being 2,800 pounds or 1,270 kilograms, making it 220 pounds or 100 kilograms lighter than its standard Gen NSX. The 1992 NSX Type R was a pivotal part of Honda's identity, as it paved the way for other Type R models like the EK9 Civic Type R and the DC2 Integra Type R. The NSX Type R and NSX-R stands as proof of Honda's commitment to push the boundaries of engineering to achieve performance excellence, incorporating lightweight construction, aerodynamic enhancements, improvements in suspension to give it precision handling, and a racing-focused interior to compete with the likes of Ferrari and Porsche, while having a limited production run, making it one of the more sought-after gems in the automotive world. The NSX Type R and NSX-R will continue to be a car that will appreciate in value and will be appreciated by car enthusiasts all around the world and will offer excitement and thrill to anyone anytime it's driven.